Welcome. This is a review of test 3. We're going to talk about the ideas behind the answers before we see the answers. So first question says declare an array P, initialize it to the first 5 prime numbers. So you need to know what the prime numbers are. Prime numbers are positive integers starting at 2. So it's the number 2. And these numbers are divisible only by themselves and 1. That is, they do not have divisors other than themselves. So it's 2, 3. 4 is divisible by 2. 5 is not divisible. 6 is divisible by 2 and 3. 7 is not. 8 is divisible by 2. 9 is divisible by 3. 10 is divisible by 2. 11 is divisible by 11. So the numbers that we want to initialize are that. So now we need an array called P. What data type is this? This is integer. So the answer has to say, oh no, dang it, I do hate this. It has to say, just write it up here, has to say integer, the name of the array, P, the fact that it's an array, how many values, 5. What are the values? You have figured that out. So it's this list of values, like a set of values. 2, 3, etc. Dot, dot, dot. Semicolon. So that's the answer to the first one. All right. Is that clear? So let's erase. Yeah, this is a big mess. This is. Oh, what a mess. This is taking too long. Did not mean for it to take this long. All right, second, an array S contains 27 values, and I want to display the first, the middle, and the last. If it has 27 values, what are the subscripts? 0, 1, 2, and the last one is a 26. Those are the subscripts. So we want to do the first one that has this subscript. This one has this subscript. So the question is, what's the subscript of the middle one? Well, it's really the subscript in the middle. So if I take 27 actually, divided by 2, I get 13. 27 divided by 2, it's an integer, so that gives you 13. So 13 is the middle one. So I just want to output S sub 0, S sub 13, square brackets, and S sub 26. Right? Sometimes when you're given a large number of values, you notice that this is odd. So just solve the problem as if it was 5. Because if it was 5, it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the end, this is the beginning, and the 2 is in the middle. How do I get 2? I take 5 and divide it by 2. So that's that. All right? This is taking too long, taking too long, taking too long. Oh, wrong thing. Don't mess with me. Okay. All right. Now, notice that this problem did not say declare S. So don't do things that you're not asked to do. All right. Problem 3. A is an array of integers representing attendance at 117, home games at FAMU. What's 117? It's the number of values that you have in the array. Okay. Name of the array is A. Okay. And what's important? You have an array. What kind of values goes into the array? It's the attendance. What's the attendance at a ball game? Is it 3.5 or is it whole numbers? It's whole numbers. So you know, you're not asked to do this, but you know that the array attendance looks like is an integer array. It's called A, and the capacity of it is 117. That you know. But that's not the problem. The problem says write the code to compute the total attendance for this period. What does that mean? The total of the 117 games, what's the total attendance? What's required? You must add up all the numbers in the array. We did that in class numerous times. What's the heart of this? You have a variable called sum that has to be 0. And what else? You need a for loop that will go through this array. What's the for loop going to say? It's going to start at 0. It's going to say less than 117. And you're going to say plus plus. That's what the for looks like. Don't make me mad. 4. Boom. It's going to look like that. Those are the 3 parts of it. Right? And what's the body of the loop going to say? It's simply going to say add every element. So we're going to say k equals 0. So the body is going to say sum. This may not work too good. Plus equals a sub what? K, whatever your subscript is, a sub k. Right? And that's all you have to do. I did not ask you to declare the array, but you ought to know from the facts of the problem that you have an array of 117 things. You ought to know from the facts attendance is a whole number. All right? And the goal is to compute the total attendance, which is just adding up all the values. All right? I got to speed this up somehow. I'll be 83 by the time I finish doing this. But you really have to take the time to read the problems carefully. All right? What does this problem say? Two-dimensional array, the name of it is XX. What about it? 17 rows, 9 columns. It can hold numbers like 18.85, 44, minus 188. What data type is this? This is a float. So you know it's a float. It says do not initialize the array. It holds 17 times 9 values. I don't want you to try to put values in there. So what do you have to declare? It's a float. What's the data type? What's the name? XX. It's an array. How many rows? 17. How many columns? 9. And that's all you're required to do. That's all. All right. I'm tired of writing. I'm going to just speed it up right now and just go through these. If I show you the answer too soon, you'll forget the process. Process is more important than the answer. So I may just have to pull in here because I'm all right, we're going to try something else. Now, Complete the body of a function to write the values of an array to an output file. Name that. Oh man. Output file. We want to do the body of a function, and the purpose of the function is to write the values in an array to an output file. First of all, is this not the same problem as displaying the values on the screen? It's the very same problem. So I'm tired of fooling around. Let's just go ahead and pull this joke out here. Pull this whole thing out here so you can see the answer. Alright? So what's required? Well, when you get inside the function, you have an array called A, and its size is A size. Because I'm writing to a file, I got to open the file first. Then I do my loop, then I close the file. Okay. The function has to open the file. All right. Next question. Write the prototype for a function that returns a maximum of 4 numbers. What does that mean? The function XX returns something, the maximum of 4 whole numbers. So what's the importance of this? The function must take 4 values. What kind of values? Whole numbers, so they're integers. It's going to return the biggest of these. So what's the data type that's being returned? Integer. Okay. It's got to be passed 4 values, A, B, C, and D. It's a prototype, so we've got to end this with a semicolon. Okay? Now let's take a look at this. Write the prototype for the function ZZ, given examples showing the effect of calling the function. First of all, what do you note? When I call the function, it does not return a value back to me. So therefore, the return type of the function must be void. The name of the function is ZZ. When I make the call, how many things are being passed? X is a float, U is a float. So I'm being passed 2 floats. Now this is where you must pay attention. Before I make the call, U is 8.8, X is 52. After I make the call, the value of U has changed. It has changed from 8.8 to 5.2. What does that mean? It means that the function must be allowed to change the value of U, which means that in the